All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz, back once again with all of the Raw and SmackDown shenanigans for this week. Couple of weeks out from SummerSlam, we're getting close, and feels like these episodes were just trying to set the table and for a little bit killing time till SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think just kind of trying to set the scene for a few matches. I guess trying to finalize a few matches. Looks like we're gonna have a few coming up. But yeah, pretty much just filler. pretty
much. It felt like a ton of filler, very little thriller for me. But Big D, take us through what happened on Monday Night Raw.
So Monday Night Raw, we got a nice little recap of the whole Dom, Liv, and Rhea love triangle, which I'm sure at the same time his real wife is at home is like, what the hell? Like, but I think I saw something out there where somebody put, imagine Dom trying to pick between Liv and Rio. Meanwhile, his real wife is at home. Like, what the hell, dude?
It's true. Yeah, it's a fair point.
Yeah,
fair point.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so they did a little recap of that, and then of course, our favorite camera angle. They caught up with Rhea backstage, followed her through Gorilla, and it's cool because this time around she actually was like talking, like facing the camera and gesturing with the camera, which actually I think was a nice touch. Kind of just like turning around and saying like, "Come on," and I thought that was really cool because I've always been a fan of that camera angle. I like that camera work. I love that they still keep doing it. They don't overdo it so far. They don't overdo it, but I think it's a nice touch. I was actually telling my wife when we were watching, I was like, I just love it, and she watched it too for the first time in that angle, and she was like, wow, that's actually really cool because you get to see like what it looks like walking back there and everything. And as a kid, you always it's cool. Thought about what it was.
Yeah, and it's cool because you hear like the walkout, you see the interactions, and then you hear the music hit, but it's kind of muffled because they're still backstage, and then you hear the crowd cheer, and so you get like that whole. It's the experience of what it must like to walk out into and then you go out into the arena and you see everyone out there, and so it kind of lets you be in their shoes for a moment. So I think it's really neat. I agree. I think they use it enough. It's like don't overuse it. They use it enough and they use it sparingly. It's a really cool visual.
Yeah, it really is. And so, of course, Rhea comes out and, right away is just like, I'll deal with Dom later. I'm talking to Liv. And just as we suspected, wants to challenge her for the title. And she's calling out Liv because she wants to talk to her face to face. But Liv, of course, doesn't come out. Dom comes out with a black rose trying to apologize and make things right with Rhea. And Rhea's not having it. But then Liv comes out on the screen. And just, again, a lot of little innuendos thrown out there to make Dom look bad, which, I like this storyline because it really does kind of like, I think the whole love triangle thing is pretty interesting. And it's funny because, everyone hated Dom already. He could barely get a word out. And now the boos are even more thunderous because everyone loves Rhea. And so pretty much she issued a challenge to Rhea at SummerSlam. To Liv at SummerSlam. Sorry about that. And Liv did accept, of course. So it's going to be, that. I know Liv tried to, beat Rhea with her little catchphrases and saying, this time Liv's on top instead of mommy's on top. It's Liv's on top. And, little things like that, which were nice touches to the promos, I think. Overall, it was a pretty nice little promo to start Raw. It was an easy way to start the SummerSlam feud because they're going to face each other at SummerSlam for the title. Rumor has it Rhea's not really fully healed yet, and that's why you didn't see her do any action. Get into any action that night. There's a lot of teases of her chasing down Liv, and even throughout the night. So I think that's the word on the street is that she's not officially healed yet, but she'll be ready to go by SummerSlam. Is my understanding.
Yeah, she's still got a couple of more weeks, and I think it still makes sense to kind of bring her out if you're not going to have her engage with anyone. It's like bring her out so that she can at least start selling the matchup and setting it up. Because she doesn't need to do anything. You don't really have to have showdowns. No. I've never been a huge fan of doing the whole, hey, let's do like mixed tag matches and stuff like that where you're kind of teasing. So this makes sense. They've already set the table really well with it. Other points from this one that I liked too was Liv kind of rubbed in that, hey, she helped Dom beat his dad, which you never did, which you had alluded to previous week. Rhea doing the whole, she's not just going to end the revenge tour, she's going to end her career. And so Rhea's going to end Liv Morgan's career, apparently, at SummerSlam.
Yeah. She's going to get murdered.
I'm still interested. She should be. She should get destroyed. I'm curious how they're going to play this one out. I wonder. I really do wonder if are they going to take the title off of Liv this quickly? Is it going to be a disqualification shenanigans thing, or are they really going to have Dom turn on her and Dom cost her the title? Nah, I don't know. We'll see. We got a couple more weeks to see how this plays out.
I feel it's the latter. I feel Dom is going to turn on Rhea because I feel like the whole dynamic that I guess because the way they're building it up is that the relationship between Dom and Liv would be the complete opposite of the way it is with Rhea and Dom because Dom, and then throughout the night we'll talk about that later. But Dom, trying to make it right with Rhea, but he says something along the lines of, "I want to show them that you belong to me," and Rhea kind of got offended and reminded Dom like, "No, you belong to me.
No, you belong to me." Yeah,
yeah. And with Liv is like the opposite, and I think Dom's seeing that, and I think that's what's. I have a feeling it's leading to that because we're talking about a riff in the Judgment Day already, and I think what we're gonna see more happen is possibly Dom come out to maybe help Rhea, and it inadvertently cost her the match. But then the split's gonna be Rhea and Damian Priest. And I don't know about Carlito. I don't know. Carlito's is kind of like a floater really at this point. But I think Dom and Finn and JD are going to go with Liv because even at some point backstage, Finn and JD were telling her, yeah, she helped us get the titles. It's cool. And Rhea was like, nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But
yeah, I think they tried to do the whole, hey, we're all cool.
Yeah, but they had to say,
everybody.
Yeah, but they had to say Liv helped us get these. Like they put that in there. And I feel they do that for a reason. It's just kind of like sowing the seeds, but we'll see what happens with that. After that, we had a pretty damn good match between Sheamus and Bronson Reed. Of course, two hard hitters. It was a very physical match, and it was great. I feel personally, I feel it was probably my match of the night.
Same
just
here.
because of how well it was. So I'll explain. But it was at that time. It was almost my match. It was almost not, but I'll explain why later at the end. But I to me this was my match of the night. They just big guys doing big guy things, which I love. They just were going at each other, lots of big heavy hits, and it was just so much fun. White Noise hit with that was insane because Sheamus able to get Bronson Reed and hit the freaking White Noise on him for the victory, which was crazy. But and you had some spots too where Bronson Reed, caught Sheamus and hit him for a power bomb. Which again, Sheamus ain't no small guy.
Yeah, the sit out power bomb. Yeah, yes. that was great too. Like those were both of the spots that I wrote down. So I was like, the White Noise. You've seen Sheamus do that to like Ivar. He's done that to some big guys before. So that wasn't surprising. It's still cool, but wasn't surprising. The catching Sheamus into this and dropping into the sit out power bomb was freaking awesome. And
I agree.
Yeah, there was good spots here. This one was my match of the night too.
Yeah, and Sheamus hitting the running knee, that was a nice little touch too, because Sheamus had just moved out of the way from the tsunami, hit the running knee, and got the win. But what was more interesting, this wasn't really about, and that's the bummer about it, is that this was such a great match, but it was really to set up something else. Because at the end of the match, Sheamus was celebrating, and Bronson Reed was about to attack him, but then Pete Dunne comes out and knocks Bronson Reed out of the ring and helps Sheamus, and kind of like a payback. Like, now you know what it feels like to be saved. And I know it sounds weird to some people, but their whole gimmick is that they don't need anybody. They're strong on their own. Like they're brawling brutes. They can fight. They can handle. They can hold their own. So it's kind of like an insult to be saved. Is what they're making it sound like. And so Sheamus wanted to shake his hand, and Pete Dunne just rolled out of the ring. And I thought, okay, cool. But then when Sheamus turned around, Pete Dunne ran back in and attacked him. So again, setting up that feud between Pete Dunne and Sheamus, which should be a hell of a match, I feel, between the two. That'd be great. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
It should be a good match. I think it's interesting doing a heel turn this quickly with Pete, but I feel like they're doing it because they need something for him to do with Tyler Bate out. So it kind of out of necessity. I think it makes sense. It also gives Sheamus something to do too, because he's been kind of bouncing around the card. He's been very active, but he's just kind of doing stop-start feuds with everybody. So that should be fun to watch. Match was really set up just for this, so I hate it when there's almost like the match is somewhat meaningless because they're just doing it to set up what happens immediately afterwards.
That's the bummer.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a really good match. I will say, awkward commentary nomination of the night goes to Pat McAfee during this one as well, where he said, "There's a sign in the crowd that says Monday Night Meat, and the meat right now in the ring is stupendous." And I was like, "Okay, man, like." Can we not? Pat, things were going so well, Pat. And then he said that. So that's my nomination for awkward commentary of the night. Pat McAfee's always good for at minimum one of those. That was probably the worst, the worst insult, worst example that he could have given.
Yeah.
But match was good. I enjoyed it. Match of the night for me.
I agree. After that, we had pretty much a nothing match with Sonya Deville and Zelina Vega. I think that match was all of like a minute long. It really wasn't that much of a match.
Couple
Don't even have
minutes,
a highlight
like
for
at
it, just
most.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that long of a match, but really it was just because they needed Sonya Deville to have a match. Her first match since she came back. And then, of course, after the match, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark all tried to kind of injure Zelina Vega until Lyra Valkyria and, of course, the Party Girls came out to kind of help, stop them, which, of course, that's the feud that's going to be happening is Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark versus Lyra Valkyria, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance, because I think next week on Monday, we're going to have the go-home show. We're going to have Lyra Valkyria versus, I think, Shayna Baszler, if I'm not mistaken, or Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville. But, I mean, I guess they're just trying to set it up. I hope this isn't a SummerSlam match, just because... it's too soon. They need to build that a little bit more. Let them fight on the go home and then continue the feud. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, this one's like for me, it was a super quick match, and I was like, we've only had like 2 matches at this point during Raw. It was like an hour and 20 minutes in. And it was like, and one was basically a squash match, which was kind of strange.
Yeah.
The Sonya Deville's finisher is it's the Deville's Advocate, and I was like, oh, the finisher was as clunky as the match, because the match itself wasn't that for a quick 2-minute match. It was a little clunky, and apparently it's the Deville's Advocate, which hearing Michael Cole yell that is a little like, I get it's a play on words. That one doesn't work very well.
Of course, too many syllables.
It is what it is. Yeah.
But then after that, we had a pretty interesting scenario play out, right? Because Damian Priest was scheduled to go against Braun Strowman, but first he wanted to cut a promo on Gunther and pretty much calling Gunther out to kind of face to face with him, which was an interesting. But then once they saw what it led to, it kind of made sense. So of course Damian Priest going and telling Gunther, don't take me lightly, this and that. But Gunther just went like full epic heel mode in his promo. Yeah. And I guess Damian Priest trying to say like, while you had everything handed to you, I was fighting for my life in the streets and this, and, his upcoming and his upbringing and the struggles he had coming up in New York, and of course being from New York, he can make those kind of claims to like make him build himself up better, and it worked. Yeah. And then Gunther, I think Gunther it's kind of hard to kind of gauge it because of his response was like, well, being on the streets is a choice, and I'm like, ooh, don't say that, but he was kind of
he was just doing the full heel mode thing. It's that's where I was like, Gunther's tried to be, it feels like in the last couple of months, he's tried to do the whole, he's still Gunther, but he's more respectful and like, I respect what you've done and this and that. And so this felt like it was more of a return to, I'm just going to try to say the most awful things that I can to try to get people to hate me promo.
Yeah. He's like, I'm the foreign
to
heel.
really play into, and to really play into, Damian Priest is the face here, everybody. You should cheer for him. So this felt them kind of over rotating it a little bit. I thought it was still a good promo and it hyped up everything, but it was just like totally worked. But it was like, Gunther's going full on heel for this one, and really like, trying to say, hate me, everyone, bring it on.
I was like, oh, we're going 90s heel promo, got it. Like 80s heel promo, got it. But it was cool. I liked it. It was a good segment, because then what happens is Damian Priest gets frustrated to the point where he's about to come at Gunther, and they start like shoving matches and getting each other's face. And right when something's about to happen, Braun's music hits, because it's like, oh yeah, you got a match against Braun Strowman. And of course Gunther gets a big old smile on his face, gladly rolls out of the ring and lets Braun and Damian Priest have their match, which was a decent match. Of course, we had the big SOB chant from Pat McAfee in the beginning, which is obligatory whenever Braun Strowman shows up in the shirt.
Gotta sell those T-shirts, man. You gotta sell those T-shirts.
Yeah, but it's cool because it's the match itself was pretty good. Braun actually looked pretty good on this one, and Damian Priest looked great. I think this is what they needed. They needed Damian Priest to win against a bigger opponent, because Gunther is pretty much his size, so it's kind of like, how does he do against a bigger opponent, and I thought it was an okay match. It was different. I think when Strowman was trying to hit the Strowman Express move, that's when it kind of went downhill, obviously, because Damian Priest dodged it, threw him over, and it looked like Braun re-injured his knee, got him, put him, they ended up back in the ring. So I mean, Priest did his thing and actually hit a South from Heaven choke slam, which was very cool to see on Braun Strowman. But again, this win did two things. It showed that Gunther and Damian Priest is going to be a great match, obviously, because Damian Priest can hang against big guys. And two, it furthers the story of how Damian Priest said, "I don't need Judgment Day. Judgment Day needs me." Because how long have they been trying to handle Braun Strowman, and neither of his guys could, but he did on his first attempt, So it made, and it made the champ look strong. He is the champ, so you need him to look strong, but it also helped in that aspect as well. So that kind of also works twofold with the storylines that we have going on. What did you think?
Yeah, it was a good showcase for Damian Priest because it was a lot of him kind of dodging all the usual Braun Strowman attacks. He talked about he was doing the express thing, he just kind of moved out of the way, and it was like, okay, so he's showing that, hey, he's smarter, he's more tactical, he's got his scattered eye, he knows what he needs to do to stop these things,
right?
And then targeting the knee throughout was the big theme, to where every time Strowman tried to pick him up, do a running power slam, it's like, oh, his knee's hurt, he can't do it. So, and it was a clean win, no interference from the rest of the Judgment Day, nothing, no shenanigans. He hit the South of Heaven, one clean. So it was a really good setup for, I think he's kind of lacked that so far, because he's had all these controversial wins that kind of should have been losses.
Well, because he asked Judgment Day not to interfere, and they still interfere. So this was good to see it, just a clean win for them. So I'm happy with that. I agree. After that, we had Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark versus Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, because of course.
Yeah.
And so
of course,
nothing special. Honestly, I'm kind of, I feel bad because I feel like this feud is just getting started and I'm already over it. I
was like, this feels more like filler to me.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to like it because Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, they have great double team moves. They really do. I'm not going to take that away from them. They're very talented in the ring, and I think it's great. It's not a knock towards them, and it's not a knock towards Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. I just feel that there should be some sort of way to set up a better trio feud, because of course Lyra Valkyria stops Sonya Deville from interfering, and of course that's still distracted and caused a distracted finish, which I absolutely hate. And Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark were able to hit their tandem knee strike, or that double knee strike that they do, to win the match, just furthering the feud, I guess. And so again, no knock at any of the competitors in here. I like them all. I think they all have great potential to do some great matches together. But I just wish, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I want in this one. I just hope it was better. I just wished for a little bit better storytelling on it. Let there be some more meat on the bone than just them, being bullies.
I agree. Like, there's no build to it. I don't feel like there's no real legitimate reason for me to care about anybody involved, which I think is the bigger problem that I'm having with it.
Yeah, and then again, it's not a knock towards the wrestlers, so y'all don't be getting at us here. Like, it's nothing against them. They're all great. I mean, they're all awesome in their own right.
They are. So. They're all very talented. It's just it's this combination of folks where I'm like, I don't really know who. Yeah, I'm not really sure who I want to root for at this point.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe they'll further it next week. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. And see what goes on.
Got a couple of weeks.
After that, we had, of course, Drew McIntyre coming out to Adam Pearce. Sorry, I got a mix up in the names here. Addressing the whole suspension thing, right? And telling Adam Pearce, telling him, look, I know you want CM Punk. He's at home. I made sure of it, and so. I know you want him just, and Drew's, of course, like, yes, I want to fight him. So they're trying to set up the match for SummerSlam. And he said, all you have to do is apologize to the two referees you threw around, and that's it. You get the match. And in typical Drew fashion, he couldn't. because of course he's not wrong in his mind, so he doesn't feel he should apologize. But he says
he's not wrong at all.
no, never, never.
I was looking at this too, and I was like, I'm with Drew on this one. The whole time he's like, why would I apologize? You guys have been screwing me the whole time. And I was like,
exactly. Drew just lost it and blamed the refs for it.
I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, y'all haven't been doing your jobs. I've been getting screwed because of you guys. All of a sudden, and it's true because CM Punk comes out in the ref shirt. Who gave him a ref shirt? Like, so he's like, why should I apologize?
That's right. This is where I was when I was watching this the whole time. I'm like, Drew's making a lot of good points here.
Yeah.
Like and I had a problem with this because this was a way to kill time towards SummerSlam.
Yeah.
It's like we don't need to
Punk's not cleared either. Yeah.
Yeah, Punk's not clear. They needed to do a segment to keep this going. I was like, okay, Adam Pearce, Braun Breaker has been wrecking people, disrupting matches, attempted to murder Ricochet. He's done all of these things every single week. When has he pulled Braun Breaker in? Hey, when has he suspended Braun Breaker? He never suspends him. And then when has he brought him out and said, hey, you need to publicly apologize to everyone involved, otherwise we will suspend you. Yeah, and I'm thinking, so why the heck are you? And Drew McIntyre has more clout than Braun Breaker does. So this is what I didn't like about this is just the wild inconsistency of you're going to parade out Drew and say, unless you apologize, you're going to get suspended. So you need to apologize. And Drew's like, yeah, no, you guys have been screwing me this entire time.
Exactly.
Why would I publicly? Why are you trying to publicly humiliate me? But Braun Breaker could literally kill a guy. And then they're like, Braun, he did it again. All right, well, can you guys walk him out the front door? Don't make sure he doesn't come back, but can you just walk him out the front door and hopefully, come on, Adam. I'm with Drew here. I'm on team Drew.
Yeah. Drew lost it. Said they should be apologizing to him, and a valid point. I mean, valid points. So again,
it's true.
Adam Pearce and Adam Pearce in the whole fit of rage was like, okay, you're suspended again, and it's like, all right, that's how we're going to play it. So I'm pretty sure next week is because it's the go home show, I believe, right? Yeah, next week's the go home show. Not the upcoming Raw, but the Raw after that. We still got a couple weeks before it comes out. So. I think we're gonna see CM Punk now on Raw because they already advertised it. So you're gonna have CM Punk again talk to Adam Pearce, and then I think we'll have the actual face off the Monday before. So the go home show, we're gonna have that happen. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, we're gonna get CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in the Blood Feud, and I think that's gonna be a great match. I hope there's a stipulation on it, maybe no DQ, maybe a street fight, maybe a false count anywhere. Who knows? I would like to see something like that, but we'll see. After that, we had Pat McAfee talk about their little clip where on the Pat McAfee show, the Wyatt Six invaded and left them a little VHS, which he waited until he got to work at WWE to turn in, and so they pulled up the tape, and it was honestly one of I can't even say like the best one because they're all great, but this another amazing vignette for Rowan. And he's sitting on a chair and actually hearing him just talk, about losing, of course, Luke Harper. He said, I once had a family, and, he talked about when he lost Luke Harper and he was devastated. And he said, but, I just get up, dust myself off and, keep going because that's what we do. And then he talked about the loss of Bray and how it affected him. And how now he fell into a well and he was like nobody would even miss me and real deep and I think it was so well done and I feel there's a lot of truth in what he was saying because he was very close to both men and I think out of he suffered a great loss with both of them gone and he just talked about it and they showed him the mask that he used to wear with the Wyatt family and what does this mean to you? He's like, it means hope, and talking about how now they're now the heartbroken are gonna paint, and it's just the words that he used were just so good, and it was just so well done in the back end, and it was just so well put together, and I have a feeling we're gonna get one for each of the members, and I'm excited for that because that's gonna be interesting to see, especially for I'm curious to see how that one's gonna go with. Oh my goodness, his name slipped my mind. What's wrong with me? Mercy the Buzzard. Dang it, I forgot the wrestler's name. Sorry. It's going to hit me. It's going to hit me. I know it will. And I'm going to be like, But anyways, I hope we get to go with that because you never hear him talk. Dexter Loomis, thank you. There it is.
Dexter Loomis,
So
okay.
Dexter Loomis never spoke, so it'll be interesting to kind of hear him cut a promo like that. So I'm very excited for that part. Of course, Joe Gacy, and rumor has it the reason we haven't seen Alexa Bliss yet is because she is going to portray the Fiend in female form. And
okay.
I'm very excited to see how that would turn out. That's just a rumor. That's just what I've heard around.
If it
yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'll say that's just what I've been hearing around the old water cooler. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's kind of the buzz that I've been hearing is that she'll be the female Fiend, and that's why she hasn't shown yet.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one. If it's true, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. This for me was the best part of Raw. It was the best moment. The best segment, but just because it was real, like you said, he really did lose his two best friends, and so you got him talking about that loss. So it came from a real place of pain.
It did.
The "Who's gonna miss me? I'm just Rowan" line really was like a gut punch because it was like, yeah, he's got a point. I mean, he does. It's a terrible thing to say, and so it just came from such a real place. The last quote that he had was, "We're gonna take our broken hearts and make some beautiful art." And just everything about it was so good. Yeah. I do worry, though, that we just saw the peak of these promos because everyone else that's left, like you obviously had...
Oh, there's no emotional attachment?
You had Bo Dallas, and then you had Eric Rowan, like they have the real close personal connections, and everyone else now doesn't. And so that's where I'm like, man, I feel like this is the peak of the VHS ones. The other ones, I'm sure they'll be good, but they won't hit as hard.
Yeah.
They've got big shoes. And so this is probably like, we'll start seeing the decline here in terms of, because it's going to peak at some point. And I feel like we just saw the peak with the VHS segments, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure they'll be good, but they may not compare, but I'm just along for the ride and enjoying it. This was excellent.
I agree. And, my hat's off to honorable mention. One of the backstage segments I haven't described yet was, Chad Gable going to Adam Pearce, in comical fashion, talking about like I finally figured it out. Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, and like
Bo Dallas.
Yeah, and Adam Pearce is just like looking like, yeah, like we all know that. Like he was like, I want to know what he told you. What did he say? What's going on? And he's like, he's here. Why don't you go ask him? So that kind of was lingering for the night. Of course, also lingering in the night was. Braun Breaker, you kind of alluded to it, was getting kicked out of, the backstage area because he was so mad.
Walk him out. The arena. Don't make sure he doesn't come back in, but leave the arena. And he's like, okay, I'll see myself out.
Yeah, it's like,
really? You're going to trust him to see himself? Because that's worked so well the last few weeks.
So, yeah. I swear to God, the lock at the door of WWE backstage must be like a Cheeto or something. Like
apparently.
It's just ridiculous, but I mean,
this is Canada. We don't lock our doors here. It's fine. It's
well, they were in.
No one will come back in.
No, where were they?
I don't know where they were, but I hear Canadians don't lock their doors.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I hear Canadians don't lock their doors. So,
I have no idea. I should ask my friends. But yeah, we yeah. So, anyways, those were backstage, back of mind thoughts. But anyways, after that, we had also another backstage statement I missed, and I apologize for that. Was when Dom and Rhea were having these, miscommunications or just arguments backstage, Jey Uso was just like, hey, telling Damian Priest, I heard Rhea is available now, right in front of Dom, and just kind of like insinuating he wants to holler at Rhea when she's available. And so Damian Priest kind of talked Dom into like a match, right? Say, hey, bro, you went to prison, man. You wouldn't that talk to you like that. I love that line. Yeah. Damian Priest just egging him on, and so he makes the match, and Rhea's like, why would you make a match with him? And he's like, well, okay, I'll cancel it. She's like, no, are you a coward? What are you trying to do? And he's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Like, he's just like a bumbling buffoon at this point, trying to make it right. Yeah. He's just trying, like, look, as a man, we've all been there. You're trying to make something right because you messed up. And he's just like, okay, fine, I won't cancel it. But I just want to make you happy. And it was hilarious. But anywho, fast forward, we had Jey Uso versus Dominic Mysterio, which was obviously, a fun match to see. Not too long of a match because you had Jay about to hit the Uso splash and Liv Morgan comes out to pull Dominic out. Then he's like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Get out of here. And then so he gets back up on the apron. Or not on the apron, but he gets kicked by Jey Uso into Liv. And he falls on her and he immediately gets up. But then she like just handles him, just like throws him over and, mounts him. And then, of course, on cue, here comes Rhea. And Liv books it all the way up. And it was... I thought it was funny because not last time she ran on the first floor and just booked it like to the backstage.
Yeah.
This one, she was literally going up the stairs, and I don't think she accounted for how many steps she was going to have to take because at some point the camera cut to her and she's like trucking up the stairs, like really trying to get up
she's
there.
like, oh, hold on a second.
I'm like, woohoo, yeah, you miscounted those steps, didn't you? But yeah, so it was fun. But yeah, that caused enough of a distraction. Dom was there talking to Rhea, and then he ends up getting back in the ring, gets hit with the spear, he gets hit with the splash, and that was the end of the match. So he lost in front of Rhea, which was more damage done.
Lost in front of Rhea.
And then, of course,
Jay doing the call me sign.
Yeah, he's telling Rhea, like, hey, call me. And it was like, yep, there you go. Like, now it's coming real for for Dom, and Dom's now trying to figure something out. But it's funny because throughout the match, he's like, don't you disrespect mommy. And he's just like, obviously he's fighting with emotion, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was interesting. Nothing crazy about the match, just furthering the storyline.
No, well, it was another one, just like the Sheamus Bronson rematch earlier. Like, this only existed to move forward a storyline that was unrelated. And it was a rinse and repeat from last week because it was literally, oh, she's straddling him. The music hits. She looks up shocked and then runs for her life. And I'm like, we literally saw this last week, exactly the same way. Yeah. Except, she took a way out of the arena that took more effort this time. So I was kind of like, did we really need this? Like, I don't know that we needed that piece with the the straddling and all of that. I like the fact that kind of Rhea did kind of cost him the match almost with the distraction and kind of getting him back in there too quickly. He probably would have lost anyway.
Yeah,
but that feeds more to the, hey, when Liv's been there, he's won matches. With Rhea there, she's kind of causing them to lose.
Again,
it continues to kind of put the wedge there.
Yeah. So again, just to further the storyline, after that, we had Chad Gable come out to call out Bo Dallas. And interesting enough, of course, he tells the whole crowd, like, I've discovered the truth. Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. And the crowd's like, duh. But I love that part because Chad Gable delivering it, like, it's just so great. But of course, Bo Dallas comes out wearing his Wyatt Six shirt, which actually is a cool shirt. He comes out and before he can even make it halfway down the ramp, he gets attacked. And of course, as we predicted with the Creed brothers, that's who he recruited. Mm-hmm. And so the Creed brothers jumped Bo, and they, are just beating the hell out of him like bad and throwing him they had some pretty hard bumps. They threw him into the ring post aggressively. Just throwing him back into the ring, just beat the holy hell out of him. And the whole time he's laughing, of course, pissing them off more. They're getting more mad because he's laughing and he's just laughing, which I think was a nice touch because, he's not getting physical yet. He's letting them think they're on top. It's more mental games. And then they get him into the corner and I guess they're like, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? And he had said something to the effect of, he made a comment. I really didn't catch it because it was off the audio, but I don't know what he said, but it freaked him out because then the lights hit and the lights started hitting. Then we got the single piano tone hitting. And then, of course, out comes the rest of the Wyatt Six. And first person to leave is Chad, naturally. He just jumps out of the ring.
He abandons the Creed brothers.
Yeah, then the Creed brothers looking at each other like, man, screw this. And they just ran out too. And they left. And then it made for a really cool visual because this is the first time you've seen the Wyatt Six actually get into the ring. And the icing on the cake for me, the cherry on top for this was because their entrance was great coming in and then getting into the ring. You had them get in position and Bo was just crawling, of course, because he got beat up. He's just crawling to the center and he did Bray's position, on his knees and just arms out, and I thought that was a beautiful touch. That was so well done. And the lights were still out, smoke with the lantern. It was just perfectly done. A beautiful image to see. And it looks like that's going to be the first feud of the Wyatt Six. It's going to be, the Creed brothers and Chad Gable. But the good thing is you do have 3 others that can fight on behalf of the Wyatt Six. So Bo doesn't really have to wrestle yet, which I think is great because you're going to have Rowan, Gacy, and Loomis take them on and probably honestly destroy them is what they should do, because that's just how it should be for their first match, I feel. But so we'll see how they're going to set that up. We'll see what Chad Gable does next week or this coming week on Raw and see how it pans out. But it was great to see them actually hit the ring. What do you think about this spot?
Yeah, this was good. So there were a few things that I really liked. I liked that Bo Dallas walked out with no music.
Hmm.
So he called him out. There wasn't a music. He just kind of walks out and
You're waiting for the
no
Bo
music,
leave
no
music.
gimmick. Yeah, I was waiting for the Bo Lee. Well, I was waiting for. I'm like, are they going to do the piano thing? And I was like, no, he just walked out. There's no
Yeah.
fanfare. There's no music. There's
Hmm.
no nothing, which I think is a
Beautifully
nice
done.
touch. I don't know if it was intentional, but in the first video when they said, "Who are you?" and he goes, "I'm nobody,"
Yeah.
and I was like, I think it's if hopefully that was intentional, but it was like, oh, it's playing into that. He's nobody. He doesn't have music. He doesn't have anything,
Yeah.
and so that was cool. Him kind of no selling, but just laughing the whole time while he's getting beaten up. That was kind of reminiscent of in the Dark Knight when Batman's beating up the Joker in the interrogation room and he's just laughing. And his whole thing is like, hey, you've got nothing to threaten me with.
Yeah.
And so it was reminiscent of that, which I liked. And then that's the moment where he was on the turnbuckle and Chad's yelling in his face, and then he looks at him and goes, "There you are."
Oh yeah.
And that was
There
like
it
when he
is.
was talking to Uncle Howdy, and Uncle Howdy was like, "There you are," during the interview when you kind of
Yeah.
see the real person. So, and that was when like the music hit and then everything happened. So all those little touches were really cool. I like the fact that they didn't have him really try to fight back or show off any move sets. It was just like, hey, he's not really in danger here. He's just
Yeah.
kind of like absorbing the punishment from them. That was cool. So enjoyed it. I thought they did really well with it. I like the way they're handling this. I just hope it continues in a positive way. It
Yeah.
doesn't fall off the rails.
Yeah, I'm hopeful because this is a different regime. I think Vince was too eager to get the payoff out, but I think this
Yeah.
is a nice slow build, and that's what you need with something like this. It's psychological, you have
do.
to get into the opponent's heads, you have to do all that, and that's what you need. You don't really, Rowan can wrestle, Dexter Loomis is amazing in the ring, Joe Gacy can wrestle, that. We know this. We don't
Yeah.
need to see it right now. We just this right here, the fact that their mere presence intimidates their opponents. That's what we need, because it's going to help elevate the group as a whole and as a faction, right? And I think that's going to be the best part. So hopefully we continue to see that. I'm a huge fan. Obviously,
Hopefully.
I love and miss Bray, but this is great. So I'm happy with that. After that, we had Braun Break. I'm sorry, I just spoiled that, but it's all good. Sami Zayn, Ilya Dragunov for the Intercontinental title. It actually was a really good match. It really was. This was actually my contender for match of the night because they both put on a great match. Sami Zayn hitting some great moves. Ilya with the H bomb off the apron down to Sami on the floor. That was amazing. That was cool to see. It was just a good match. I was having fun. I was enjoying it. But before the match started, my wife kind of laughed because I was like, I told her, I looked at her and I said, I bet you anything we're gonna have Braun Breaker interfere, and it's gonna set up a triple threat match at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title. And she's like,
Because
you
of
want to
course
just
it will.
fast forward to the end and see? And I was like, no, because I want to see it. I like the match. But yeah, and that's exactly what happened. They tried to go and what was it? There was a part where they got outside the ring and they were pretty much at the end point of the match because they had a whole match happen. And then they got to the end and they were both on the edge of the ring. And then all of a sudden, here comes Braun Breaker sprinting like nobody can. We need his 40 time because that's insane. He just sprinted through, and Sami Zayn gets out of the way just in time, and then he hits a spear on Ilya Dragunov, and of course that's interference. They called the match, and then he just took care. He pretty much just speared them both eventually, and that was it. So Braun Breaker stood tall,
Yeah.
and that's how they closed out Raw. Not a fan of the ending. That's what ruined it for being match of the night for me, and especially because I already knew that was going to happen. Like I just knew it. I was like, they told him to leave. He's been mad. He's not going to leave, and he's going to come back out. And it's just a little too predictable. I'm pretty sure next week we're going to get a promo from Sami Zayn. Or we're going to see a backstage segment where Sami Zayn's like, fine, I'll face both of them for the Intercontinental title, because he's going to feel it wasn't right for Ilya to get his opportunity wasted like that. So we'll probably have that at SummerSlam. And I feel if they do a triple threat, I don't feel Sami will retain. I feel they'll have Braun Breaker win that. But
Potentially. Yeah. Yeah, this was almost my match of the night, but for the same reason of you kind of knew going in. It's like Braun Breaker always does this. He comes in and spears somebody and they can't stop him and he disrupts the match and ruins it.
Yeah.
And so as soon as they were like escort him out, and he's like, no, I know the way, and they're like, okay, cool, we trust him to leave.
Yeah, all right, man, see ya.
And then he
Bye.
left. It's like, all right, peace, and we know you're not going to come back. So it was obvious how this is going to end, which is always feels a little empty that you set up these intercontinental title matches, and it's like this is the main event of Raw. I'm like, you know, Sammy's not going to lose, but you know he's not going to win clean because they're trying to protect Ilya Dragunov. So it's like you're getting the Braun Breaker interference. So
Yeah.
just because it was so predictable, and Adam Pearce, I got a question: where's Braun's suspension? If you gotta come out
Nowhere
and
to
suspend
be
him next
found.
week, if you're going to treat it this way, you're going to have to at least have him come out and publicly apologize, or suspend him pending an investigation, because this is not like the 8th time that he's done this. So
Not even. He's showing
he won't.
initiative. He's getting a title match.
Yeah, you know what? I like the fact that you're passionate, and we want to reward your passion with opportunity. And you're like, well, wait a second, what about Drew? Can we at least be consistent here? So yeah, it was like, yeah, it was kind of a bummer way to end the show. Overall, I thought the show was fine. It was a little uneven, but
I give it a
I'll
B.
I'll give it a B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Same
B
here.
for me. It wasn't anything like spectacular, but just trying to fill in. But
Yeah.
at least
Well,
it
I mean,
was,
speaking
in my opinion, better than SmackDown.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of unspectacular, Friday night SmackDown from Omaha, Nebraska, in the middle of America. Kicked off, Cody Rhodes. He got a great reception, I will say, in Omaha. That's probably the greatest thing that happened. He got a great reception. Started off talking about Randy Orton and their friendship and their mentor relationship, and then how he felt guilty about what happened to Randy last week. And then he talked to the man responsible, Solo Sikoa, and then basically just taunted Solo about Solo wasn't ready to be the champ, and how he was trying to erase his enforcer status, how he wouldn't get the title. And then he was interrupted by Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, of all people, which felt a little left field and strange to me. Austin Theory then blamed Cody for Jacob Fatu attacking them last week. He said, hey, my cheek is swollen because of what happened. And of course, Cody was like, well, I thought Waller caused that by kneeing you in the face. And then they blamed him for Orton getting hurt, which is true.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, he did.
They're not
I mean,
wrong.
come on now. And so Cody then attacked them, probably because they were telling the truth and he didn't appreciate it. So Cody attacks them, and then Cody eventually fell to the 2-on-1 assault, which was, I will call it an assault, the 2-on-1 defense, because he attacked them, and then he got tossed out of the ring like a punk. Until Terrence Crawford gave Cody a chair, because Cody apparently can't fight his own battles anymore, and the segment ended. So,
but how funny.
That's, in a nutshell, how this show started.
Seeing Cody come out and he wasn't in his suit, that means that something was going to happen, right? Anytime he's not in his suit, he's going to fight. Not that he hasn't fought in his suit. I know he has, so y'all chill, stop talking.
He has.
I know that. But, he came out, cut off shirt, ready to rock and roll, and that's what happened. But, because he knew he was coming out to instigate a fight. But how convenient that Terrence Crawford just happened to be like, hey, I'm in the front row where we get padded seats, but here's this folding chair. Like, I snuck this in security since I had Braun Breaker sneak this in for me. So we're gonna go, and I guess he uses the same entrance as Braun.
Also, I'm like, Cody, you are the WWE champion, and then you just got tossed. They keep saying, well, the former tag champions, Theory and Waller were kind of were transitional tag champions and kind of comic champions, so they shouldn't have been any real threat to him. And then they kind of beat him up and throw him out of the ring after he attacked them. And then he's like, here, Cody, here's a chair, let me help you out. So nothing about this made me, again, I feel like they're always making Cody look like a punk, and I'm like, this didn't help that. And then right after that, it wasn't the next thing, but right after that, we got Cody backstage asking for a handicap match against A-Town Down Under. And Nick Aldis basically said, no way, dude. They just whooped you and made you look like a chump. You definitely need a tag team partner, so go find one. He didn't exactly say that, but
in many words, he did. In many words.
In many words, he was like, are you serious, man?
Like, bro, did you see what happened?
They just tossed you out of the ring like, like garbage. You need a partner, so go find one. Like the board of directors would never approve this. And then Corey Graves was worriedly wondering if Cody could find a partner. And I'm like, I think most guys don't really sweat A-Town Down Under. I'm sure this will be pretty easy.
He can pull a Braun, grab a kid from the crowd, and he'll be all right.
Yeah, at that point he'd be okay. Or maybe not, because he had a hard time with them. So we would be getting some tag match, because they already said it's not going to be a handicap match. It will be a tag. So Cody and the mystery partner was a mystery thing all night. Next, we also got a Carmelo Hayes getting a haircut. So he got a haircut, and he cut a pretty weak promo against Andrade before their match. Something about, we're both ballers in the paint, and he wouldn't miss first. A lot of basketball analogies, and then got up from his haircut to go out and face Andrade. It was a little transitional, maybe get your haircut earlier. But it was not a great. Tonight was the night of weak promos for me.
Yeah.
So I will put it that way, because I think the first promo wasn't good. This one was like, did like the person who writes all the good promos take the night off? So you had this, but this led into match of the night for me, which was the best thing that happened. And we finally got some wrestling, which was Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. This one was great, which we knew it would be when they teased it the week before, when Andrade was like,
we said that's going to be an amazing match.
Dun, dun, dun. I was like, that's going to be great. And it was. Lots of fast chain wrestling, very much a Lucha Libre style that they started with, which was really great. At one point, they did during the commercial break, which I hate when they do cool stuff during the commercial break. They did like a double backflip face plant off of the ropes, which Wade Barrett called a perfect Spanish fly, but it wasn't. I was like, it's not a Spanish fly. The Spanish fly, you've got one facing each direction. I was like, it was like a double backflip face plant. So it wasn't, but it looked cool and happened during the break. Andrade hit a double moonsault where he did the moonsault and then landed on his feet and then hit the secondary moonsault. Carmelo hit like a tilt-a-whirl bulldog. Like, there's too many cool spots in this one to list them all. But it was really great. Andrade did kick out of the first 48 at one point, and then Andrade hit the message and won clean. Clean wins. No shenanigans, no disqualifications, no interference. This one was awesome, like I thought it would be. Best thing that happened on SmackDown for me. But what did you think?
No, I agree. That was my match of the night, and I knew it going in. I was this is gonna be a hell of a match. I was excited for it, and they didn't disappoint. I mean, some of my favorite spots here was what was it? Hayes hit a reverse leg drop off the second rope, which I'm still trying to figure out how the physics worked on that one. That was insane, because he countered. It was countering. He also countered Andrade with midair with the first 48. And then also when he tried to do his dive off the top, that's how Andrade caught him into the message, which I'm a big fan of the way he's doing this finisher now, because he's able to catch it out of anywhere. I think last time we saw him, he caught a spear and hit it off of like a spear attempt, which was awesome to see too. Yeah. So huge fan of it. Andrade showed why he is a great luchador. And Carmelo Hayes just, no, I don't think either man looked weak in this match. I think there was a huge opportunity for both to shine, and they did. And they took full advantage of that. And I'm a huge fan of it, and I loved every bit of it. So, this was my match of the night.
Yeah. I think my only reservation is that Carmelo Hayes loses a lot since getting on the main roster. Like, he lost to Cody. He had a great match with Cody Rhodes and lost. He had a great match with Andrade, and he lost. And he's losing clean in all of them. So it's like, don't make him like the high-profile jobber for everybody. Let him start winning some matches at this point. But great stuff. Best thing on the show, on what was a pretty weak show. I'm just gonna come out and say this is a weak show, SmackDown. Next up, we had a video interview between Nia Jax and Bayley to promote the SummerSlam Showdown. So speaking of weak promos, Nia said everything about it was awkward. Nia said she was going to put Bayley down like an old sick dog. And then Bayley said Nia hasn't changed. She's the same heartless woman she's always been. Walks around like she owns the place, blah, blah, blah. They're fighting at SummerSlam. They don't like each other. Not the strongest promo ever. There was one point where Bayley said Nia hurt her before, not like because she's big and strong, but because she's clumsy and reckless, which is kind of an odd real-world fact to bring into this one because it reminds everyone that the matches are choreographed and that this is staged. I'm all for using real-world events to play into stories. I think that's the brilliance of the Wyatt Six, because they're playing off of these things that happen, these people that passed away, and that's great. but not when it does so much to lift the curtain of, hey, this is all predetermined.
Yeah.
So when she said that, I was like, I wouldn't have put that in there.
Yeah.
Like, we know that it is, but now you're breaking the fourth wall to where you're lifting the illusion, and that doesn't help sell it. And that for me was a bad choice. Yeah. And it felt just like very clunky and unnatural.
I agree, and I think the biggest part for me, that was my biggest gripe, aside from the ridiculous facial expressions while the others were talking, the over the top expressions. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god! But that's where I had a big problem with the promo, because she could have said it differently. She could have said something else, but the way she said it, obviously, we all knew what she was talking about, because that's a gripe we've all had for Nia. You know, she's, you know, sometimes, although I will give her credit, you know, she has gotten better. And she is doing better.
She has improved. Before all the hate starts coming through the comments.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has gotten better.
Look, yeah, she has. And she's doing great. I agree. And I think she does deserve a title run and a title attempt. I think she'd be a good champion. But she's still lacking in the promo department. And this is where you know, it showed. And Bayley's usually a pretty good promo, but that line just kind of was like, you shouldn't have said that. Like, you really shouldn't have, because it just takes all the it kind of erases that you're watching wrestling, and it's just like you're watching two people argue at work. Like, you know what I mean? So I just you know,
True.
That's just how I felt about it.
That's a good summary of it.
But I mean, I'm sure people will disagree. I don't care, but I think that's just how I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of problems with this promo. And then we moved into Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair arguing with Piper Niven and Chelsea Green about who would get back the tag titles first, which led to Bianca versus Chelsea Green in a singles match that happened immediately and ended immediately, too, with Bianca getting a surprise roll-up after 2.5 minutes. I think they realized, hey, we haven't had any wrestling on this wrestling show, because we were basically... half or more than 25%, probably 30% of the way through the show, and we had one wrestling match, and so then we got this real quick 2.5 surprise roll up, and then Isla Dawn and Alba Fire appeared on the big screen to taunt Jade and Bianca with a teaser for next week. So this was just killing time and filler for me. I was like, and coming off of the bad promo and then this, I was like, ugh. So I don't know what you felt.
I mean, the only thing I thought I enjoyed was, again, Chelsea Green does a great job as the as like the goofy heel, right? I think she does a great job of that, and I think they're gonna try and do like I don't know what they're gonna try and do with her and Piper, but I liked parts of this, right? I know it was a fast match; it was just more of a squash match because it's just filler for Isla Dawn and Amber or whatever. But it's really more that I liked is that Chelsea Green tried to win with the roll up, and she lost to her own. She undid herself because then Bianca reversed it into a roll up, and that's how she won. But that's the only thing I was kind of like, that was kind of funny to see, because Chelsea was like, all like, I got the roll up, and then she like got into a roll up and lost. So I was like, all right, but that was about it. But yeah, it was just filler.
Yeah. But it was like a quick match, and then we were back into more promos. So the contract signing between LA Knight and Logan Paul. They both made their way to join Nick Aldis in the ring, and Logan Paul started off with a pretty cringy promo where he called LA Knight a, quote, hillbilly Aladdin, Sons of Anarchy, extra-looking Larry the Lobster Dude, whatever the heck that means. I'm like, as he was kind of rattling it, it felt like he was just trying to think of something to say, and so he's just naming things. And I was like, okay, that's pretty weak. And then LA Knight pointed out that every time we faced each other, I've cooked you. And then LA Knight just proceeded to recap everything that's happened. He's like, I went to your house. I did this, and recapped everything that's happened over the last several months. And then Logan Paul said that, hey, I've got a lot going for me. This isn't my only thing. You're not me. You're never going to get a title shot. And then LA Knight called Logan Paul Low T Logan, which is Low T Logan P, which is probably the most clever thing that he said during the whole shtick. And then after that, saying that he was not going to give LA Knight a title shot, then he just got insulted a couple of times, and Logan Paul immediately changed his mind and was like, all right, let's sign it. We'll do it. And I was like, you just sat here and said, you're not worthy of my time. And he was just like, you've got low testosterone. And he was like, whoa, them's fighting words.
That's where the line's drawn. I have adequate levels of testosterone.
To let it slide. I've had blood work with my doctor done recently. I know that is a lie. So it was just the strangest thing. I would say the promo had all the creativity and charisma of like two newbies on the independent circuit just trying out material for the first time. Like when I watched it, I'm like, LA Knight's better than this. The whole thing just felt so clunky. But the match is on. They've signed it, and they're gonna wrestle at SummerSlam.
And I mean, I get it, and and to be fair, before people start crying about it, it was probably a better promo than Logan Paul's delivered in the past. So he's, I guess, trying to get better, but it still wasn't, up to par with other folks. But the low T Logan P line was great because, of course, that was great. The line, he is like, I am adequate, and it's like, whatever, dude. So it got the job done. So now we have the title match. So that way, LA Knight, if LA Knight does not take this title off of Logan Paul, I don't know. I'm gonna apologize, Gus, ahead of time because we are gonna be at Old Sheepdog at the time. Gus, I am sorry if I chuck a glass across the wall, across the room. If Logan Paul wins this match, I'm gonna be so mad, but it's all good. We'll see. Y'all will see the reaction live, so make sure y'all tune in for that.
Cheap plug. You will see it live. Tune in. Glasses may be flying.
Yes, I'm not making any promises. I want Gus to invite us back. So that was that. But
we'll throw plastic all right. And nothing breakable.
Nah, now watch, when I go, I'm gonna get plastic cups. Now watch. But it's all good.
You get the old red Solo cup. Like, this is for you, Big D. Red Solo cup.
Yes. But but I mean, it got the job done. We got the contract signed, so now we have the match. So it's gonna be, it's gonna be Logan Paul.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Hopefully dropping the title to LA Knight. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. And then we got a Tiffany Stratton video package followed by Tiffany Stratton versus Michin. Right before this, we also got another backstage promo between Santos Escobar and LA Knight because they need to kill a little bit more time before SummerSlam. So they called each other out for next week. LA Knight said, hey, if you need to get in touch with me, your mom's got my number. Which, again, I was like, why didn't you say stuff like this? More stuff like this during the Logan Paul promo. Well, that's why I was like, that one was great. And I was like, why didn't you say that during the Logan Paul promo? Like, you saved it for the Santos Escobar one. It feels like everyone just gets worse by osmosis when they're around Logan Paul. Because as soon as he was around Santos Escobar, we were like, oh, LA Knight's back in form. So that was great. And then we went into Tiffany Stratton versus Michin. And we were at the hour and 15-minute mark of SmackDown, barely starting our third match of the night. This was a very light wrestling. One match only lasted like 2 minutes. So this one was fine. It was more of a showcase match for Tiffany. And it was comments on how tough Michin was. It's like, gosh, she's really hanging in there. A lesser star would be dead already. And so it was, you get the occasional rally to kind of keep it from being a total squash match, but Tiffany really controlled it the whole time. You had Nia that came out, so there was a little bit of quick interference. But before Tiffany could take advantage, Bayley appeared to take out Nia Jax and then cause a distraction, which allowed Michin to, again, surprise roll-ups. So 2 surprise roll-ups in a row.
Devastating move in all of sports entertainment.
It's incredibly effective. I've got to tell you, it is incredibly effective. It happens all the time. 2 in one night, which I didn't like that either. I was like, just let her win. I mean, this is if she's here to squash her and look good, just let her squash her and look good. Don't have her kind of lose on a technicality because she got surprise roll up due to a distraction from a baby face. So it was fine. What did you think?
It was all right. It was just more to further the storyline. I think the reason they had Tiffany Stratton lose was because they're trying to sow in those seeds for her turning on Nia to cash in on her. I think that's what's going to happen just because of the fact that, she caused her to lose the match. So, of course, who is she? Tiffany Stratton does not take accountability for her character, doesn't take accountability for stuff like that. So she's going to blame Nia, and that's what's going to happen. And I'm all for it. That's fine with me. I will give her credit, though. That Alabama slam outside the ring, holy hell.
That was devastating.
That was brutal, and I like that. I was like, all right, that's cool.
I haven't seen an Alabama slam with that much vigor since Hardcore Holly. Hardcore Holly used to really like lay those in.
Well, because Hardcore Holly works stiff as hell. That's why.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I guess Tiffany was watching his tapes, going, "Yeah,
she
I
sure
should do
was.
that. That looks
She's like,
really
I can
good."
do
I'm
that.
like, she took notes because
Yeah,
that
it
always
reminded me of
she
like
does that really well.
it reminded me of like after you watch Raw back in the '90s in our times, and you go to your sibling, "Come here, let me try something," and you get in
You're like,
trouble.
"Hey, I saw this. Hold on. Come here a minute."
I want to show you something. Come here. What? Don't worry about it. Just don't call mom. Come
Don't worry
here.
about it. Here, come here.
But yeah,
Come
so
here,
that was good.
Come
Yeah,
here,
it
come
was-
here a minute.
It furthered the storyline. I think that's why you had her lose,
Yeah.
because now you have her to blame Nia for it. So we'll see.
You do. We'll see. Bloodline video was next. A little awkward too. Solo saying that life is good when you're the tribal chief on the island of relevance. Like Scooby Doo, Solo likes a good mystery, and he was wondering who would disrespect him by teaming with Cody later. And I'm like, dude,
We all
probably
know.
several people.
Yeah,
we all know. Like the obvious one's Kevin Owens. Spoiler alert, it's Kevin Owens. So it shouldn't be a huge mystery. And then he was like, tonight better be a handicap match, or someone's going to pay for the price. Not pay the price. I want to clarify that someone was going to pay for the price. And so that probably confused Kevin Owens as well. Again,
Pay for the price of
continuing
what?
the-
For two?
pay for the price of for his hospital bill. Someone's going to pay for the price of a hospital bill, apparently. But it was one of those like, wow, like we've really messed up a lot of the promos tonight. So this just continued the trend of promos that weren't great. And then we went right into main event with 30 minutes left, only 4 matches on SmackDown.
Yeah.
That was kind of strange to me. And I was like, 30 minutes left. This is going to be a barn burner. But then they spent 11 minutes doing walkouts.
Cody's
That
got to
was
get the
another thing
woes
where
in.
we got to get it all in. So they did walkouts and commercials. So it was actually only 19 minutes left in the show when the match started. If the match was fine, it just felt underwhelming for a main event since it's 8-Town Down Under versus Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens.
Well, there's no stakes.
And you knew, there's no stakes. And you knew it was a vehicle for a confrontation with the Bloodline. Like you knew what it was. Just like the Sheamus Bronson Reed match. Like there were so many matches that were set up just for storyline and storytelling between both Raw and SmackDown. This was another one where it didn't make a lot of sense. They continued the gag of Waller kind of getting Theory hurt. He nearly caught Theory with a kick, and then Theory caught his leg. That was the kind of way he caught his leg, and it's like, really? Again? He kind of looked at him like, what the heck, man? And then that gave Cody the opportunity to hit the Cody Cutter while Theory was distracted. And then Cody hit Theory with the Crossroads and got the win because you knew that they were going to win. And then the Bloodline immediately came out. And the brawl was on. So you had Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens initially getting the upper hand. And then, of course, Super Jacob Fatu appeared because he is like, at this point, continuing to do the unstoppable heel thing. So he came in and destroyed everybody again. Can't be stopped. And yeah, I'm like, if he's that superhuman, that guy really should be the WWE champion. If nobody can touch him, he just went out and wrecked everybody. And then this week was just the repeat of last week, except they were holding Cody Rhodes again, and just like watching Jacob destroy Kevin Owens. And then Cody got triple powerbomb through the announce table. Kevin Owens was decapitated by a chair. It was more horrific. And then Bloodline just stood tall again. Cody looked like a helpless punk again. And that's how we went off air. And I'm like, this continues the streak of Cody just being helpless and getting beaten up. And I don't know, like, are they really going to flip it at SummerSlam and then just go, oh yeah, all of a sudden Cody can beat the Bloodline now? Like, I don't know how they get themselves out of this because he's getting just nerfed by everybody all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And this one, I guess you can argue the numbers game and just that, he was outnumbered.
You could.
But, yeah, I mean, this was pretty much just another setup. I think it's more psychological to Cody in terms of you're responsible for Randy Orton getting hurt, and now you're responsible for Kevin Owens getting hurt, another guy you considered a friend. Yeah. So it's more mind games by the Bloodline. Just trying to show him that what he's causing, I guess, and what he's what's happening, why it's his fault, and all that. I agree. The match wasn't anything too spectacular. It was just more, like you said, a vehicle for it to be another Bloodline assault, because they were like waiting in guerrilla the whole time. I guess they might as well have been under the ring.
Yeah, because as soon as it was over, it's like boom, they're out.
Yeah, but I mean, it is it is what it is. You're trying to get the Bloodline over. Jacob Fatu is extremely over in terms of his moveset and his abilities, so I think that's cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what they do. now it's like, okay, now who do you have left to partner with? Because Jey Uso is
Roman
over there on Raw
Reigns.
hitting on Rhea, and and that's the argument. The argument is, does he get help from Roman Reigns, which will make him look like a weak champion because he needed help from Roman, but at the same time, I want Roman Reigns to come back. I never thought I'd ever say that. But yeah, heel Roman, yes, not face Roman. I'm not a fan of the old baby face Roman. Maybe they'll kind of do a splice of the two. I don't know. But
yeah, they did like a Stone Cold Steve Austin anti-hero
yeah,
thing with him. I'm assuming that's what they got to do something like that with them.
Yeah, they do, because the over the moon baby face Roman was just not working for me. But I like heel Roman, and I think maybe, or just tribal chief Roman. I think it's necessary for him to come out at this point, and I wouldn't be upset about it, because at the same time it's gonna develop the storyline within the bloodline, the bloodline civil war, if you will, that we've been alluding to.
Yeah.
That should be happening, and of course he's gonna have to bring backup, so he's probably gonna come back with Jimmy, and since Jay's doing his thing on Raw, maybe Zilla Fatu comes out. I already talked about Zilla Fatu a little bit. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's amazing. But yeah, I think maybe that's what they do, and that way he has his bloodline coming in. And I don't know where they go from here. I think that's almost part of it that I like, is because there's the mystery to it, as far as like who else does he have left to help him out, and so maybe that's what's going to happen. We're going to see Roman come out at SummerSlam, but they got to save that for SummerSlam, because that's a SummerSlam pop. I swear to God, he better not come out and go home show. Like, they need him to come out at SummerSlam.
I think they will save it for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I think they're doing the build up of like, Cody has no more friends. He's all alone. He's like, he redoes the thing with The Rock where he's like, I called a friend of mine. Yeah. And it's like, Roman's not your friend. And then Roman comes walking out.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Is my friend, right? And we're best friends now. We gave each other Rolexes after WrestleMania. It's like I'm assuming there's going to be something that's going to happen, but I do think they save it till WrestleMania or till SummerSlam. Yeah. I do think it's going to be kind of a bummer if it's like that's the only reason why you won was because Roman Reigns came out and he gave you the save, and but I feel like they're building to that. Like they haven't shown that Cody can handle the new bloodline at all. Yeah. And if Randy Orton's not going to be there to back him up, and Kevin Owens is not going to be there to back him up, that they painted themselves into a corner with that. And I think that's where they were always going. It's like they'll have Roman come play spoiler. Yeah, that
was, and that's fine.
But that was SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't too impressive.
That was SmackDown. It was okay. It was like I'm going to give it a C.
Yeah,
because it was just pretty weak overall. It was very non-wrestling, very little wrestling. And I like wrestling in my wrestling shows, and there was very little wrestling other than the one barn burner match between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade was great. Everything else was like it was pedestrian, and there just wasn't enough. And we were plagued with terrible promos the whole time. So
I agree.
It was a little bit of a bummer. But they can't all be winners, kids. It's okay. Generally, they do a good job, but every once in a while, they throw out a dud.
It's all good. Sometimes you got to throw stuff and see what sticks, and this time around, it did not stick. So
just didn't stick. But
except for Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, because that was awesome. I love that match.
Andrade and Carmelo Hayes was awesome. Other than that, everything else was meh. But yeah, so that was the week that was. We've got a couple more weeks coming up on August 3rd, SummerSlam. As Big D mentioned earlier, we're going to be broadcasting live from Old Sheepdog Brewery in El Paso, Texas. So that should be exciting. Our first live broadcast show, so please be gentle. But we'd love for you to be the companion streaming as you're watching SummerSlam. Stream with us as well, and let us know comment throughout what your favorite matches are, what's working well, what's not working well, or just chat with us through the comment section. We can do that as well. We are looking forward to it. Thank you again to Old Sheepdog Brewery for hosting us for SummerSlam. It should be a great time. And thank you all again for all the support. As always, we appreciate it. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But that's what we got this week. So have a great rest of your week, everyone. We'll see you next time on the recap. Take care. We'll talk soon.